changed? Where are those words that you said when I believed in you?
I'm so sorry for the delay. Unfortunately, traffic was something I did not anticipate.
You're in Silicon Valley. Everybody is driving here.
Yeah, I lived here for 62 years and forgot. In 2 years, I forgot.
It gets worse every year. We have, of course, Google now is building a huge complex downtown. Apple has their big spaceship, Cupertino. And there's there's light rail, but it hasn't really, it doesn't go everywhere. So people
Yeah,
put the
it doesn't.
drive,
It doesn't.
So there's that.
But I've seen a lot of construction in Fremont.
Hard to explain.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, everybody said, well, there's nowhere to live, and there's too many empty places for businesses, and they keep building new ones. I don't know. Construction companies are doing well.
Wow.
Are we tilted sideways? This won't go any lower.
Let's see. And I'm going to see if I can, I don't know why this is up here like this, but we're going to just, oh, wait a minute. Oh, Suzanne. She's watching. Vince is watching. Here we go.
These are people that just got bounced on your computer on the floor.
All of you took a dive.
And I'm going to straighten that out.
And you know what I'm going to do?
There we go.
I'm going to grab something really quick. I'm going to grab my mic.
Okay.
And this way, everybody will hear with absolutely no problems.
I'll show them the studio while you're doing that, 'cause I think you've seen it before.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to grab this because there's some things here. This is the old 2-inch tape recorder that we used to record everything on. It's still here just in case I want to transfer those old tapes. This, of course, you've seen before with me. This is the Moog, and I'm using it all the time for things. We're going to talk about this board a little bit, but everything since 1981, with Hush, my first band that's been recorded by me. Keith, the first solo album, him and Kevin Gilbert worked in here a little bit. All recorded on this board, and it's about to leave. Old equipment here, Neve equipment. Is this interesting? Oh, these guys. Talk about old guys.
Yeah.
Some of the pictures. I have some nice stuff up here that I don't look at too often. I have a great letter from Ian Anderson about Minstrel in the Gallery. If you've seen us on tour, you've heard us play that live. I have a great letter when Herbie Herbert, Journey's manager, was my manager. And I wrote him a blues song with his name in it and a little break for him to play guitar in his office. And that was kind of he said one of the best gifts he ever received, which was really nice for me because he really did a lot for me before I moved to England to work with Brian Lane. What else is around here? Oh, you know what? Chris Noto, who just got in a bad accident, I believe.
It was Andrew J. Noto.
It was the other one.
Andrew is Chris's brother.
Yeah, the brother did. Okay, I thought it was Chris, but I just saw it quick last night. Oh.
And it was a rollover.
Well, yeah, well, this is for Chris anyway.
Scary, very scary.
Here's, some basses. You've seen this. Here's the Chris Squire bass back there. This is the one I use in all my recordings. Actually, Sammy Agar had that made for me. It's got a graphite neck. These are kind of the guitars, I don't know if you can see them, that I use every day on sessions. There's the Martin 12-string back there, a very old guitar, the Hofner bass, Rickenbacker's double neck Gibson, L5, 335. Most of the time when I'm playing guitar, I'll use this Strat, it's custom shot Strat, or this PRS. And on tour, you saw this great guitar. This is a Journey, and the neck comes off this guitar. You can see that thing in the back there. And that guitar goes into this backpack, if you can see that right here. And it's a fantastic guitar, all graphite. Here's a couple other things. My touring bass. This is something brand new that I'm just starting to work with. It sounds fantastic. Light wave pickups. Look at that. There's no magnetic pickup on that bass. It's all done. Light sensors. Okay, I'm getting some kind of message here, so I've been rotating your phone.
Oh, boy. Well, I've got
we're
the
all...
mic, and we are going to hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
We can't have anything go wrong there. And, boy, I'll tell you what.
Well, you are set. Boy, the equipment you brought the first time, I think, was just your phone.
Yes.
And now, I mean, the whole side of the studio is packed with equipment over here.
You know what? I've learned over all these mistakes.
You know what else you've learned? And people, I'm going to show you this.
What?
So that Dyanne doesn't forget her keys. They're right here next to her on the chair.
And it's my husband's truck. Big 4-wheel. So let's get us both in
Okay,
here.
there we go.
And let's make sure everything's running. Make sure we're on. Turning it around for just a second. And
That equipment, I tell you.
I'm telling you, this equipment is crazy.
Oh,
Problem?
something changed there.
Uh-oh.
Might have
Oh, shh.
Might have got off.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
it won't go back there, so you're gonna have to go back.
Where's the camera?
There you go.
Ah!
Oh man, we were lost in Facebook land.
I think we were lost, but everybody else was like,
You're right there. Listen,
oh,
we're
you
going.
got-
Oh no! Oh, my Facebook is so important. You know.
well, it is. And, especially the Robert Berry, and give us our new
You know,
name.
I will tell you that I've been lying very low working on this new album. I won't call it pressure. I don't really feel pressure because I do what I enjoy and I love doing. But I have felt an overwhelming pressure to make sure that I'm doing some good work here.
Feeling it.
Yeah, and I can't worry about Facebook. My social media guy's mad at me. Send me some pictures, dude. Give me some. I send him nothing, right? I've been totally focused on trying to make this third album in the 3 series, which will be the last album in the 3 series. I mean, as far as the album cover that has the 3 and stuff on it, because we have 3 to power 3, we have 3.2, and this isn't going to be 3.1, but this is the third one, and it only seems fitting that, I don't know, the transition and everything as it goes along, fewer people involved. Now this is my vision, kind of where I want to take it. That it ends after this one, and the next album will be probably a band album, and the new band, who you know all the guys.
Yeah. Love those guys too, by the way.
A good Andrew Collier,
Andrew and
fantastic,
Jimmy
Keegan, fantastic. Paul Keller. I was going to invite Paul Keller down today, but he's such a hog. You know, he'd be talking the whole time, and his dumb jokes, and just kidding. Paul and I'm going to grab this again real quick.
You go right ahead.
I'm going to show you.
Remember the live TV?
There is Paul Keller at the Bammies. Gene Perrault, myself, Peter Adams getting the Bammy. There is Paul Keller in the Robert Berry band right before I moved to England. And of course, these are pictures you've never seen of Keith, Carl, and I. But Paul's down there in the dark somewhere, you can't see it. But yeah, Paul and I have been together a long time.
You've got lots of people coming up here. I wonder if there's some questions. Now, I know that somebody, let me see what we got here. Anybody with any questions? Let's challenge him.
I have no answers. I'll tell you that right now. No answers. But I said I've been off of social media, even though there's things posted and different things. I've sort of been in recluse a little bit as far as sharing what I'm doing and all. It's been all-consuming. Plus, the studio here is busy all the time.
Oh, yes, it is.
I'm
Yes.
quite booked up, so I'm having to work my album in times when I'm not feeling responsible to clients and stuff too, which is important to me. I really enjoy that piece of it.
Oh, yes.
You know, so.
Yes, sure. Listening to other music and
All the time, you know, someone comes in, like Los Tigres del Norte, who's called the Mexican Beatles.
Oh,
They
my
record some of their
goodness.
stuff in here. They've had 4 Grammys, huge. They come in, and I like having that type of thing. You know, they're doing Tex-Mex kind of music. I like listening to it, like being involved. The guys are great. Then there is someone comes in to do like a Fleetwood Mac kind of rock song. Someone comes in to do, maybe I do a lot of work for young girls that are maybe getting out of high school and college that are writing, and that's pop kind of stuff now. And I always can't say her name, but Billie Eilish or Irish, whatever name, the one that won all the Grammys anyway. You know, a lot of people saying, "Gee, I want that kind of sound and stuff." So we work getting their kind of sound according to who they are, influenced by her. Like I'm influenced by ELP and Yes.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
You don't copy them, but you have those little pieces that become your toolbox. So
Yeah.
I like working with young people that are sort of developing all that. You know.
And with all of your background and all the years and all the people that you have worked with and had in bands,
Yeah.
like Keith Emerson, such
Who?
a, you know,
Let me tell you something. Right now, before March 11th,
I
when we
know.
lost him, is the
I know.
time when we were working. And this is a little bit of a melancholy stage for me because this was the time we were working the most on that last album, getting ideas together. So this is a strange period for me, especially as I'm working toward a
imagine.
new one without him, which is added. I won't use the word pressure. Have I said pressure?
you know, only once or twice.
No, it just added a bit of complexity to it emotionally for me to take it where I'd like to take it. You
Sure.
know, still
Absolutely.
pay tribute to Keith, Carl, Steve Howe, all the guys got to, you know, stay that thing
Yeah.
that was my 80s sort of thing, bring it into now. But there's that little gray cloud hanging over it right now that wasn't there like a couple of weeks ago. You know, we're just
Yeah.
approaching close. So anyway,
Yeah.
yes, anyway, I will
we
look
are. We are, and we're all going to raise a toast to Keith on March 11th, and
Definitely.
pick your own time and place if you want to grab some friends from the site or other groups, people you know, and get together.
You know, my
And-
wife is a second grade teacher, and all those 7-year-olds are going to have a beer with her. No, they're not. A glass of white wine, you know.
Yes,
Keith
I
and-
do know. I do know about the white wine. Yes, that is his favorite.
It's going to be a good class. that day.
That's exactly the drink I'm going to use. Yeah. So, but you have some tours, as I understand, and quite a tour.
You know, we're doing a thing with Big Big Train. If you haven't heard of Big Big Train, they're sort of have these cult following. They're a fantastic band from England, and they have like 15 albums out. And over here, we never heard of them, right? But now we're
Yeah,
starting to hear
right.
about them. Really great. The guys in the band are just tremendous. My new manager is their manager,
Oh,
and I've never played in Europe. Even though all my success, basically all the guys that were my heroes and that I loved working with were English, and I spent all that time over there, but they always want to come over here because there's better concert scene, right?
I see. I want to go for
Yeah,
that.
well, me too. So I'm playing there with them. We're playing in May at the Sweetwater Pavilion, Big Big Train in 3.2, the only U.S. show. So, and you know, I should have the exact date on that. Is that May 23rd? I think it's May 23rd.
Well, you know what? We can make sure that we post that.
Yeah. Well, that's our only show in the U.S. this year. We're concentrating. Of course, I'm deep in the new album, so I have to concentrate on that. That's taken a lot of my
Sure.
energy, and a lot of my thought process. Actually, playing the instruments, recording, all that stuff. That's what I do every day. But the thought and getting lyrics and an album is a time stamp of where you're at that time in your life. So
Yes.
I got to express that, and so we're playing this one date. We're going to do one of the new songs off the new album there, and then we head in July to play Netherlands, 2 shows in Germany, and Italy, which, well, I'm dying to go there.
I'm sorry, but it's one of the places I've always wanted to see.
Yeah, I'm going to
was
spend a week
Italy.
there after that. I say I'm dying to go there. Right now, I might die if I go there. So they have the worst outbreak, which, I'm not really afraid of that, but when things get
You just be
that
careful.
serious, got to be careful.
You
Yeah,
guys
so
got to be careful.
yeah,
you
Carl
know?
just canceled his Italian
Yeah,
leg, which is too
yeah.
bad. But you have to be right now. You have to be
Right now,
safe
you
with
have
it.
to do what you have to do. I mean, I live by San Diego, and San Diego's been accepting all the quarantine
Oh.
people coming in on planes and on there's a big cruise liner.
Yeah, I thought you were
that's been-
acting a little different. Are you?
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, a little twitch here and there.
Yeah,
But
well,
you
that's
don't really notice, right?
You're right.
You don't notice that.
Yeah, there is a same here in Oakland. They're taking one of the cruise ships from San Francisco to Oakland, because their docks and everything are more wide open. San Francisco's
Sure.
right downtown.
Sure.
And then, you know what? Somebody
you
could have the
gonna do?
flu. You could have the flu, or I could have the flu right now. We're not going to worry about it, right?
No,
we're going to
we
make
are
sure
not.
wash your hands, the whole thing. There's no reason to get excited. But
We're going to be careful.
we don't want to walk into Italy where it's really bad right now. Carl doesn't either, you know, and
Sure.
let them
Sure.
eradicate it a little bit. Anyway, then we'll wind up in Italy for our last show. And then Rebecca and I will spend a week there. My cousin lives there. My record company is there.
I didn't know you had a cousin in Italy.
Yes, and she, you know, my grandfather, 100% Italian, and both Pat and myself resonate with the Italian part of our heritage. My dad was more English, you know, Barry, and
I knew.
yeah, well, we have no skin color.
Yeah,
That's what we
see?
share.
That's why
that.
that's
You
why
know,
we're so pale.
Why couldn't the Italian side come out a little bit
I
more?
know,
But
right?
No, you know.
You're a little dark. You know, I had the bad luck. See, I had the English and Swede.
Oh,
So color was like
yeah.
not going to happen.
Yeah, I call
This is
myself
the way-
see-through. You know,
I
yeah.
call myself Casper.
That's funny. Yeah, so it's that tour.
That's going to be exciting.
It's going to be really great, and it comes right before the album is out. I believe the album's going to come out in August. So we're going to play a couple of new songs. You know, before the last one, The Rules Have Changed, I spent a week doing a press tour in England and stuff and talking to people. It was amazing the way they treated the whole album, and they had all heard it an advanced copy. Mm-hmm. And so I'll be doing that while I'm there too. So that's kind of fun. It's the point where you go from, oh, a lot of criticism to, oh, gee, people like this. And it sort of empowers you in a, you know.
Hey, well, you know what? People at some point in time, I think, stop listening to critics. And they start listening because you have a following, you have a huge following, and people respect that of you. And I think critics get in the way. That's just my personal opinion.
They definitely do. Keith hated critics, all that
I
stuff.
can
You know, he didn't.
imagine.
It
They had a lot to
hurt
go
him.
through.
You know,
Sure.
he took it personally, and
Sure.
that's why 3 broke up. Actually, you know, the
Well,
critics.
you know
But
what though? That was hard right from the start for all 3 of them because they were really, wow, what are you stealing music? What are you doing? And then they had that to go through. So
yeah, I think Greg was the least susceptible to that because he wrote so many of those great folk songs.
yes,
you
he
know,
did. I
and
love those.
his history too with King Crimson and things.
Yes.
I still, and then when he joined Asia for one show, it was so good. You know, I
can
think
imagine.
it didn't seem to bother him quite as much. And I only met him once. People think, oh, you know, all those guys. I always said to Keith and Carl, I want to meet Greg. They'd come and play when they did the reunion thing after 3. You don't want to meet him. Yeah, I said, yeah, I do. Really
Yes,
do.
you do.
Finally, when I met him, which was for Keith's documentary, he was wonderful. You know, really, really wonderful.
That's what I hear.
And it was interesting that Regina, his wife, after Greg had died, contacted me through Facebook, and I said, gee, I'd love to send you this album, 3.2 Rules Have Changed, just to show you what, you know, I was up to with Keith. And she goes, oh, I thought you wouldn't take too kindly to Greg and anything with him because, you know, the guys didn't say nice things about him sometimes. I was used to that.
No, you know, I never, ever got to meet any of them in person. I didn't know how. I was young at the time that they were, you know, really
At the top of their
taking
game.
off. Yeah,
Yeah.
early 70s.
Yeah.
1970, 71. And what's a girl going to do? I mean, first of all, everybody thought it was a man's band, but I'll tell you truly, I heard that album of Brain Cell Surgery, and I was hooked, and I didn't care what anybody thought. I was a girl, I loved ELP, and I wanted to go see them.
Yeah,
but
there was
I didn't.
a lot of female fans, especially for Greg's piece of it.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
When I saw Rush for the first time, I looked around and what? There was more than half women in the crowd because the lyrics are so good and
They
stuff.
are
You know,
awesome.
you know, I went, well, that's odd. I never thought of Rush as a female band. Let's say, you know,
Yeah.
they didn't have the Donny Osmond appeal.
No, but they had something else going on
Yeah,
with
oh,
them.
yeah.
Their lead singer is just
all tremendous musicians, you know.
And everybody.
Yeah.
Especially in that early period, you have yourself, you have, Pink Floyd, you have Genesis, you have Yes, and you have, ELP. And then they were
Right.
not, I don't think they were not ELP yet. I think they were kind of all still in the nice.
Well,
and
the night, and
and
PM, all
doing-
that stuff,
yeah.
and Arthur Brown, all
right.
that, yeah.
Oh, Arthur Brown.
I was the, I kind of call myself the middle generation progressive music because I was playing their songs in cover bands, right? Lucky Man and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And Heat of the Moment, still in a cover band when Asia came out.
Oh,
Right?
my husband, who does not like prog.
Yeah,
That's a
I
problem
totally get
right
that.
out of the gate.
You want to sit and listen and enjoy it and be marveled at the technology.
You do, but you know what? I really have felt for prog so right out of the gate, and there was no looking back. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a lot of top 40 songs at the time in the early 70s
Sure.
and late 60s, and that's all I knew was the radio and the top 40
Right.
ever, until I had a boyfriend who was a little bit more savvy than me and brought over some albums, and there we are.
I still think about my band Hush, who started as a classic
Hush is
progressive
good.
cover band that we played Watch of the Sky, Roundabout, Siberian Control by Yes, and people danced. They danced to us. I'm like,
I would have danced and sung to Sabrina Control because that is one of my top favorites. That and Close to the Edge were my
Yes, yeah.
two biggest ones. I sang back in the day.
right? You've told me that before.
Yeah, and just the lyrics and how fast and the changes and the tempo and everything is constantly moving. And even in ELP, of course, you've got Carnival 9 right out of the gate there.
Yeah.
And then with the Sheriff, I mean, you just have these songs that are so out there and so amazing. And
Yeah.
then you've got you just have so much. You just have
we went in the Jethro Tull, who was really
Yeah,
progressive. There's some Led Zeppelin was really progressive.
yeah,
I
right.
mean, we didn't do any Beatles, but I consider the Beatles progressive. They're the first band to
Absolutely.
experiment and take the edges and expand them, and but we did that kind of stuff in Hush.
And I think a lot of bands were looking at the Beatles and the Who as kind of like this is the way I want to go.
Yeah, they opened that door to creativity.
Exactly, they did. And when you have that gift and you have that creativity yourself, your creativity just blows my mind at what you are creating, not only on albums and recordings, but just your writing is just superb. It's to
I
the heart.
appreciate that.
No,
it's
I
all
mean
I do.
that.
That's just who I am and what I do, and
You're
all
honest
I've ever done.
with with what you're feeling, and you can grab that when you're listening to your music. I can feel that honesty, and there's so many music out there that's based upon nothing.
Especially
My
today,
opinion.
a lot of it. Yeah.
My opinion. Don't send me bad comments.
Yeah, well, a lot of the pop stuff today is shallow as far as meaningful content. But then again, it sounds kind of cool. I like the tones and all that because I do a lot of, like I say, I produce young girls here that are doing their first recordings. And I got to understand that Demi Lovato and all that stuff, But music is all music to me. I studied classical piano for 8 years, jazz. I played country music in the studio I was raised in. I've done everything, but it's all just been music as long as it's done right.
Yes.
But that, of course, leads me to progressive rock, which encompasses everything. Maybe not country. Steve Howe did some country
Kinda
kind of
does,
stuff, though, in his
though.
solos,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of that song on the first album. I don't remember.
Oh, from the Yes album?
Yeah, was it the Yes album, or was there something even before that? Because that might have been Peter Banks.
Yeah, you're right. There is one.
Sweet
There
Dreams
is one.
or
It's
something.
got
He
like
had
the
kind of a
head
country-
floating. Is that the one that
I'm
you're
not
thinking
sure.
about? I don't know.
I've never bought albums except for the first couple. I've always had, because I've been in the studio since I was in high school. people bring in, well, I like this Grateful Dead. I go, oh, gee, I hate the Grateful Dead. Oh, well, I want to have that sound. Okay, well, let's take a look at it. And then they look at you and say, oh, Grateful Dead, I don't know. You sound more like your style is like Emmylou Harris. Or let's put the two together, And that's kind of where I've been. So I've never really bought music. Now, someone says, I like Billy, I'll say it again, Eilish, whatever you say her name. So we'll go to YouTube.
Does anyone know the exact pronunciation and could
It's like Elise. Something. I don't know.
like
I should know it. She's
dot
big
it
now.
out for us piece by piece.
Yeah.
No, but you
Music is music.
You're,
right?
yes, and when I look around the studio and I see the equipment that you use to make the magic happen, make the music come alive.
Yeah.
I'm in here and I have goosebumps, and it's
a
not
museum.
from the temperature.
Yeah.
It is from what I see.
Up there's an ARP 2600. I put the camera, if you can't see it, that's a synthesizer like Stevie Wonder would use. It's a big one, right? Got patch cords and stuff.
Yeah.
I showed you the Moog. There's all this old stuff, but then again, this is the latest Pro Tools you see behind me here.
Oh, that is incredible.
Fantastic. Now, I've told you this, not many people know this, but that board that I showed you over there, I am going to show that.
Go ahead.
This is a
Take us around.
Neotech console over there. That I bought that when I first opened Soundtek. That was 1981. And because I had some valuable Les Pauls that I got through my dad's music store, in 81 they would let me put that up as collateral. So I got a loan, and I bought the 2-inch machine and this board. And everything that's come through this studio, starting with Hush, all the Hush albums, except for the first one done where I was working at the country studio, Tiki. Everything I've ever done sound-wise, that's the tone of it. When 3 broke up and Keith was going to do a solo project, he started in here. Even Kevin Gilbert came in here and worked with him on that was the board. And 3.2, The Worlds Have Changed, was recorded through that board. Now, the quality of mics plug into that, Pro Tools just captures it. So that's the quality of what I've always done. All my tribute albums, Watch the Sky, Roundabout, all done through the Neotech. That board in 2 weeks is going bye-bye, and I bought a new one. It's old. It's 35, 37 years old.
Where is it going?
To the shed, maybe. At a certain point, there's something called capacitors, in
I know the capacitors.
Yeah, and they dry out.
Absolutely.
And I'm starting to get little glitches and stuff. And because my career has been successful in the last few years in different ways than it was before, it's sort of like my own piece of it instead of being a part of something. I've always wanted a Neve console, which is like probably what the Beatles would use and Pink Floyd and everybody, and what Dave Grohl, the Sound City, the documentary is all about the Neve console that Sound City had. So I've bought a Neve console for in here. This one's built in 1981. The Neve was built in 1975. So it's even older, but it's been redone, the capacitors and stuff, right? So I'm excited about that. It's sort of a dream instrument, like having, I don't know, the Rickenbacker bass,
There
like
you
Chris
go.
Squires that he signed from. It's a prized possession.
Oh my gosh!
You know.
I still, after we're done, I still have to go see that again because Chris Squire, I was fortunate enough to meet him twice, and one time we actually really got into a conversation, come have drinks, and all this. And he was just so
lovely guy.
Sweet, such a wonderful guy. Yeah. But the talent, I always had to have my ticket on his side. I always did. As much as I love Rick Wakeman, and there's a few others, Igor, that I really like, but Chris took that bass and he made it a part of himself, and he did things with that bass, and his performance kind of reminds me of Keith a little bit.
Well, I was going to say, there's one guy in each band who is the energy, the originality, the power, besides the creativity, it's that thing, right? Chris was that thing. He made up that stuff. It just came out of him. Jeff Beck's like that. You look at Jeff Beck play, you go, how does he do that? He did with his thumb. You know, Keith was that guy, that power that came out of him. And sort of, I mean, Chris and Keith were kind of a violent kind of thing. I mean, they're really tough, you know?
Yeah, they gotta slap that bass, baby.
On the other hand, a band like Genesis, who I love Genesis, but Tony Banks is sort of a gentle player, but he's a genius. If people realize, if they look at Genesis, and a lot of the people that listen to prog realize what Tony Banks is, what he does, and how big, because he wasn't the Peter Gabriel, he wasn't the Phil Collins, he wasn't the big, even Mike Rutherford. They all made these solo careers, but Tony Banks, man, what he did for Genesis, if you take him out of Genesis, there'd be almost nothing going on.
There would be nothing going on.
That's not against the music and stuff, because I love it.
Or
the
the
Lamb Lies Down, all that.
lyrics or anything else.
It's just.
But Tony
that sound,
Banks,
he's amazing.
You know, it's like, I think in every band, there's one person that really stands out.
Even if they don't, like Tony Banks, doesn't stand out, does he?
No.
But he's the guy that stands out, if you think about it.
But he stands out.
Yeah.
But he stands out in what he plays and how he plays it.
And the creativity, and just, he's a monster, you know? And so many bands have that one guy. That was Chris Squire. That's why both versions of Yes, I mean, they're great. But they're not that one that he was the glue of, you know?
He was.
Same with Keith, you know?
Yes. Oh, Keith was a gifted man.
Yeah.
He had that gift inside of him because the way he could just come up with these different, you know, rhythms and musical, you know, just out of his head. Just, how's this sound? Like, let's take Lucky Man, right? Gets the Moog for the first time, and that's what you hear in the recording. Yeah. The first time he sat down to try to play it with music. Yeah. And
I was thinking, did I hear a story about him that they wanted, let's do another couple of takes or do something?
Yeah,
he wanted to.
Yeah,
but they said that was
satisfied.
it, or Greg said that was it, something like that.
Greg and Carl said, this is so good, you have to listen. Keith listened. He said, no, I don't like it. I want to do it again.
And he had to play it his whole life.
And I wondered, did he really like playing that, or does it bother him that he couldn't, you know, do another take?
Yeah, a little fancier one.
Well, you know, sometimes people that put a lot of care, like, you know, into their music, that would bother them. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, even though we love it.
You know, I do an album, and lots of times I never listen to it, at least for 6 months, maybe a year. Then I listen to it once, go, okay, because you got to let all that go from all the technical things and the writing and everything. But there's always something I would have changed. Oh, why didn't I do that? You know, and that, can you imagine the solo of Lucky Man? It was so iconic.
It's just, that's a story in itself.
Yeah.
I mean, what did he do? He did his little bit. He said, I'm going to a pub. I don't think he was real happy with what he did. And comes back and everybody's all excited.
We're done.
We got an album.
It's a funny story that I talked about this before, but when we were recording the 3 album, and I think we're at Westside Studios at this point, we would get there 10:30, 11. And by the time Keith got everything turned on and I was plugged in everything, it was 12:30, 12 o'clock, and he said, well, let's go to lunch, right? And I'm used to getting there and working all day, right?
Let's go.
So we would never do anything till we got back from lunch. Then we'd spend 4 or 5 hours, you know, and that was it. He had his Norton motorcycle stolen during one of those too.
Oh dear, I heard about that.
That was he was upset about that.
I can only imagine, because I know the Norton was one of his absolute favorite rides. Yeah. You know, I understand that he also had that bicycle that was brain salad surgery. He had it designed, and it was amazing. I have a picture of it somewhere.
I never saw that.
You never saw that. I have a picture of it, and I'll go find it, and I'll post it.
There you go.
And let you take a look. But that was stolen.
She was probably in the barn too. I saw every old Korg synthesizer, because they were not good when they started, and Keith made them better by saying, well, we need this, we need this, and this. But he had all this old stuff covered in dust and everything, you know, and it was really cool first time going in that barn and seeing all this, and then walking into this, as Peter Sellers said in the Pink Panther, priceless Steinway, you know. Yeah, I have a lot of video stuff that I'm still putting together to put out a little DVD for people to see the inner workings of the 3 rehearsals and some recording and some of the tour. It's all it's home camera, real quick stuff. But I've been, you know, little by little working on it. It's just so much going on.
I know, you know? Right? It's like you need an assistant.
You know, I told you the story about the guy, Pat Moore, who did everything for me here at Soundtek for 18 years. And all of a sudden, he walked in one day, and on Friday, he goes, I need to talk to you. I'm starting a new job Monday. I went, okay, you know, well, just want you to do well. I mean, great, okay. And I decided not to replace him because he was so integral here and just did everything that I just put a message on the machine, said, nobody answers his phone. Email me, I'll get right back to you. And I've been even busier ever since. Of course, I have to farm out all the website stuff, all the mail stuff, the shipping of CDs, you know, because I sell the vinyl, the 3.2 vinyl. I do that myself. I didn't want the record company, I didn't want them to, it was important that was like a treasure, you know.
Good for you.
Yeah. So
seriously, good for you.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see a lot of that sometimes, but I think you see it in Prague.
Well, yeah, because the people that like Prague, they want still some kind of physical property. They want to read the story. They want the book. They want the art besides the music. You know, there's only a few kinds of music styles and fans that do that. You know, Mexican music, they still buy CDs. Jazz, you know, Prague.
Sure.
The rock, the big stuff, the pop, the biggest genres, none. They don't buy anything. You know? And it's too bad.
You know, it is too bad. I know that today's music, when I listen to like America's Idol and watch what's going on. When America's Idol first started, I was actually kind of, some of this is starting to sound similar. Like everybody was kind of singing the same kind of music the same way.
Yeah.
Unlike today, you know, where they're using guitars and they've got their own instruments and they're doing so much more. It's so more, the variety is incredible. But we had that period where I called it cookie cutter music, even though it probably wasn't. It was just how I interpreted it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I always liked all those shows because, especially American Idol, now they are doing original things more now, and like I say, all different kinds of instruments and things, performances. But a lot of times they'll play, maybe they'll play a Lionel Richie song because he's on the show, and you know, the guy's 17 years old, and he's exposing to the audience, a younger audience, the Lionel Richie song. Or maybe somebody will do Lucky Man. You know, I haven't heard that, but maybe why not, right? A really cool version of that by some girl like Billy. No one helped us out.
Anybody know?
Eilish.
The breakdown of that one?
Paul Keller would know. Paul's a student of perfection.
Paul.
But you know, it really exposes people beyond the Demi Lovato, whatever her name is, you know, Taylor Swift, whatever, the pop guys, you know, it exposes them to all these old songs and these old artists, and then of course they'll have at the end Queen Night or something that all sing Queen songs. It's really good for music.
It is.
What's really bad is streaming, where like it used to be I get a check once a year for, you know, a certain amount of $1,000. Now I seem to get them every quarter and stuff, and they were going to be maybe $2,500, and now they're $30. Same amount of, you know, Google Play and stuff. I look at that.
Because of the downloading, right?
It's the streaming. They don't even download. They just get on and you stream the music, and you never own it. You know, and
I got it.
it's the way of the world, so you kind of can't fight it. But
But
if
you got to
that-
figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm established. I can tour. I can, make a living at this.
Mm-hmm.
What's my son going to do now? He's in music. He's 25 years old.
And what
He
does
doesn't have a
do?
reach,
What
and-
does he play?
He plays little drums and keyboards. He's, of course, doing hip-hop kind of stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the generation does.
Sure.
And he's getting pretty good at it. But he has to take it out with a singer to like a DJ kind of thing, and you can't make any money doing it.
No, you can't.
Then
But
what do
you
you
know
do?
what? It's all starting. It's learning.
Yeah.
It's the mistakes. It's it's the successes, and it's the connections that you start to establish.
Well, that's right.
Which is really important.
Your circle of
because
influence grows.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and especially when they're totally on your team and they totally support you, and that's when things happen.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see, huh?
He came to me, just so you know, his name is Robert Berry also. He's the third, because I just wasn't, I was writing songs, I didn't have enough time to name him something different. I was busy, How am I going to pay
Hey, I
for
know what he looks like.
Yeah.
Hey,
How am I going
you
to
know
pay
what?
for this kid? I got to write some more songs. And he came to me in December and said, Dad, I want to work for you at the studio 3 days a week. He works at Guitar Center. And he went to school, went to college for video and all that stuff. He really knows his stuff, but you have to use it in the real world some way that you enjoy if you want to be happy and have a great life, right? So he came, I want to work for you 3 days a week. I want to see how you do what you do, and I'm going to fix everything and clean it up and this and that. I went, well, if you stay at Guitar Center at least 2 days a week, I'll do that. Why do I have to stay there? Because you need a reach. You need to be inserted into the music world.
Yes.
The people that buy things, that play things, the people that have a career, they're all coming to Guitar Center looking to the newest stuff. They want to see.
Sure.
And,
And he knows what's coming in.
Yeah.
He sees what people are buying.
Well, unfortunately, he said he could open a karaoke machine store and make a huge living because every day they sell 5 of them or something. But yeah, so there's
my
that.
goodness,
But
there is that. But
you
you know what? Do you remember back in, say 1970 when you had to go to Ticketron
yeah,
and you had to, or you listened to, for us here it was KSJO, and you hoped that you were the 10th caller.
right.
And you'd get a ticket, right?
Yeah.
And the days back then, because we didn't have the internet, we didn't have our own computers and phones. We had a landline, and it was like, for me, it drove me nuts when I was like starting to date because I was only allowed 15 minutes on the phone. And if I was expecting a boy I really liked to call, I was literally sitting on the floor by the phone.
You have 2 phone lines.
Ring.
You should have 2 phone lines. You get 15 minutes on each phone then. So you
I
were thinking.
wish. Boy, I'll tell you, I didn't do that one right, did I?
All those things we used to do are sort of what worry me about the future of just sort of humankind in general, not to get too deep, but Amazon is killing off all the stores, and I try not to use it, but if I need a wrench because in the back of the board the wires punch in with a certain wrench, right? I can't find mine. Well, I could have it here in a day.
Yes, you
and it
can.
doesn't cost me anything for shipping. Now, if I go looking for it at stores, it's going to take 3-4 hours out of the studio. It's going to change my creative side to analytical, driving in traffic.
Yeah.
So I use it, and I hate to because I don't want the mall to go out of business. I don't want the shops in downtown Campbell to go out of
no.
business just because it's so easy to do that. We used to have to go to Ticketron to stand in a line. It's a social thing. I believe when you
was
work
social.
hard, it is. When you work hard for something, it means more to you too.
It does.
So that's
that
worries
ticket.
me. You know?
Yeah, having that ticket, finally getting that window and saying, "Here's my money," because you always paid cash.
Yeah, usually.
With coins.
Yeah.
Back
Yeah,
then, right?
yeah,
you were
let's
like
see.
pulling dust, right?
That ticket, what? $5? Really?
That much? Didn't the price go up? But no, that's what we had to do, and in that line, amazingly how many people you start talking to, and the exchanges happen.
Yeah.
Same thing when you're going to a concert. A lot of times, it didn't matter whether you had a seat or not.
Yeah.
You got there early and you hung out in line because that was part of it.
My sister met her husband at a Leon Russell concert. They both love. I mean, a lot of people have met people. It's a thing, you know, that you get out, and when you work hard for something, it means more to you, and you make more out of it. So we'll see.
And the memories, I think, are so much stronger because you have everything from the announcement on the radio to the actual date, and then you get like what happened to me once is I was going to go see Yes. And it was at the Oakland Coliseum, and the tickets were on sale, and I'm trying to punch through the Ticketron. Hello. And after like 2 hours, I finally got through, and they were sold out.
Wow.
And I was so crushed, but they announced the second show the next day, and they typically did that back then, right? They would sell out, and then you'd be like, "Where's the next one? Where's the next one? Where's?" And sure enough, next day, and they do back to back, and it was like, it was great. I could tell you a story about Rick Wakeman. I don't think you know.
Do you want everybody to hear this?
Actually, I kind of do, because this is kind of a good thing. I met him for the first time.
You know, your daughter looks a little like Rick Wakeman. Oh.
Just a tiny bit. You know, the hair color, she's like, the lamb, right?
Okay.
I need to get a cape on her. And then all I have to do is one easy
That's
thing.
funny, a cape.
I gotta teach her how to play.
There you go.
That's all it is.
Could be in her genes. Maybe we shouldn't get you in this much
maybe you
trouble.
should teach her how to play. I don't think I would do a very good job. But anyway, the first time I was going to meet Rick Wakeman, I was very excited. I was very nervous, and I wanted to just let him know how excited I was to be here, right? Yeah. I had my ticket and stuff. I'm trying to find something for him to write on. I had nothing but the ticket. I had him sign his name on the ticket.
Yeah.
And so I said to him, I am so excited to be here, and I bought tickets for both nights, so I'm going to come back tomorrow and watch it again. He looked at me and he said, you're a fool. That's just what he said. Just like that. I went, huh? I'm like, what, 16, 15, right? I'm like, oh, and he's so big, you know? And I just felt, what did I say? And then I said, well, yeah, but that's what, I love you guys, and I want to see both shows. He said, you see one, just see the one, and that's you'll be seeing the show. And I said, yeah, but how do I know something else isn't going to happen that's going to be different the next night? That night, Rick Wakeman's equipment failed for the solo. The solo.
Oh, that's funny.
When they were doing the Yes Songs tour. I don't think it was actually when the album came out. I think that they redid the Yes Songs tour. Yeah. So it was all my favorite stuff. Yeah. And it was doing In the Round, and we were 8 rows to the front, and so we could see Rick very clearly pounding on the floor, and you could see something come up from the floor, and he is yelling. He is unhappy. He is an unhappy man.
That's funny.
And you can just bet that next night that equipment was on, and we had a solo that I will remember forever. And all I can think of is neener, neener, neener.
I thought you were going to say that he finally told you there is no second show.
Oh, I know, right? It's like,
you're
April
a fool.
Right. Yeah, you are a fool. You're an April fool.
Exactly.
No, but I felt like That's why you buy tickets
There you
to
go.
both shows. When you love that band, by golly, you go.
Yeah, interesting you'd say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I had a Mellotron. I'd opened for him a few times locally around here, and I brought my Mellotron lid to the gig, and I had him sign it on stage. I brought it out, and I told there was like 2,000 people out there.
Wow.
And I brought the lid of my Mellotron, which they were white, you know.
Yeah.
That was the instrument that played the violins and the choir and all that. I brought it out, and he'd signed it, Rick Wakeman on there. And I brought it out, and I said, I just want you to know that Rick Wakeman just signed the lid of my Mellotron. It was like the Beatles, you know, because Mellotron's the holy grail, and Rick Wakeman was the guy that really made it visual,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was still a great moment. I still remember them. Went, wow! So I set it right there by the amp, you know, and it was great. And same place I opened for Chris Squire when he had his band.
Yeah.
And those were all good times. I was a huge Yes fan, probably a bigger Yes fan than ELP, because the texture of what Wakeman did.
Yes.
In early ELP was sort of organ and the Moog, but
Yes.
Wakeman had all the other kind of textures going. Another reason I like Genesis, the textures and things, you know.
Yes.
And then, of course, when it came to sheer energy and brutality, you couldn't beat Keith. And I love that.
Oh, never. If you wanted to see something that you'll never see from anyone else ever again.
That's right.
That was Keith.
Yeah.
And Keith was always full of surprises. And
Because he was funny.
he
you know, you couldn't
was
stop
with a
him.
sense of humor. Oh my goodness sakes. And I can tell, I think we all can tell, that when he is being more relaxed, like there's a video where it's in, I believe it's in Switzerland, where they were living for a while, and all their family came for this particular concert, so they were really hyped up for it. I think I read that in Keith's book. And they were really hyped up, and they wanted to do a really good show and stuff. And Keith, when he was after he was done and the show was over, he came around back. He was just like goofing, and you know, he just cracked me up so much. And I thought, you know what? He must have been the most amazing dad, because this is a guy every kid would want to hang with. I mean, this is...
That's definitely true. But you have to remember, though, that same with Sammy Hagar, you know. To be who they were gone a lot. The world's demands on a public figure like that are huge, because you see them in concert, you see all that happening. But like me, I've been 2 months, almost 3 months in the studio working on an album, like whittling a piece of wood, you know.
Oh, I know, right?
It'd be easy for me to get on Facebook and say, hey, live thing, and I do a little bit, but nothing really about the album, about the music.
Yes, you're being very hushy about it.
Well, you know, it's a creative process that happens for me that is very personal and very introspective in a lot of ways. Like I say, with the lyrics and stuff.
Yes.
That was the one thing in the Rules of Change I was worried about. They were very personal and very, of course, applied mostly to what Keith and I were trying to accomplish, and then what happened. So, and that made it, I didn't even realize some of it until it was done. I went, wow, okay.
You know, that album, when I heard the whole thing for the first time, I could feel passion, I could feel your honesty, and I could feel that this was coming from your soul and heart.
And that's the reason I was worried about people not liking it.
And you know, that's when you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And it's a scary thing. Yeah. You know, it is a scary thing, right? Yeah. I mean, the first time you're going to put your heart into it, and you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to take myself, my character, my experiences in life, and I'm going to put it out for everyone. And you have no idea, you know, what they will react to, but I'm telling you, it's been really good.
Well,
and it's a very positive album, and I know that when I listen to music, that you can tell people have definitely sat down
Yeah.
and thought things out.
I learned a lot from that album doing it that way. One of the hard things is, you can't just sit down and say, okay, Dyanne, I'm going to put out my inner feelings now on this. I'm going to write this. Oh, what are those? You don't analyze inner feelings.
No, you don't.
It comes from the creative part of the mind and the soul. It's not from the analytical side. So they had to kind of flow out. So you have to disarm and make it happen.
Do. And sometimes you get into a groove.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love writing lyrics. I was lousy at writing the music. But the lyrics, I actually kind of took a little bit of John Anderson's work. And I could kind of dive into that because a lot of his lyrics are very different, and they're kind of a little dreamy,
A little ethereal, yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
The sun, the stars.
Yeah,
he said that
right,
a lot.
exactly. But you know what? When you're in the 7th grade,
Yeah.
and you're actually starting to write, I mean, and it was personal to me, and I felt it, and I felt.
That's because you're a girl. Us guys are going to write about motorcycles and stuff.
I know,
Jesus,
right?
Dyanne.
No, we have to write about the flowers and the sun and the stars and ELP.
There you
and
go. Yeah, right,
Robert Berry.
It-
No, seriously
Yeah.
though.
That's, I think, why I would say 75%, maybe 8% of my business here at Soundtek, for the whole time I've been here since 1981. I started the studio right out of college.
That's
'Cause
just amazing. This place, by the way, it's huge. It is so organized, and there are so many things in here from history.
Yeah.
Like Robert has called this a museum, and it is a museum.
There's the Moog bass pedals down there.
Oh,
I mean, see, they're hiding. See that? Moog bass pedals.
Wow.
I mean, that's the holy grail there.
Yeah.
And-
did Keith use those?
Not those, no. He played my memory Moog over there a bunch. My Hammond B3 out there was sort of, funny, I had it redone for him after the 3 tours. So we didn't do anything here until afterwards. And when the repairman was here, was it 89 that we had the big earthquake? 89?
Oh yes,
Well,
that
this
was
place,
October.
now, I have a skylight, a window up there now to let a light in, but there was no lights, and there's no windows in a recording studio.
Right.
There was none of this block here, the round block. That's all visual stuff. And the guy was underneath the B3 in the main room, getting it ready for Keith to come and do his recording of that day. And the earthquake hit, and this building is built on a cement slab, probably over a foot thick. And it shook as one big piece. This used to be the Campbell Phone Company. The walls are that thick, and the slab is, and the whole thing just went, and the lights are swinging, and the whole building, and all the lights went out. Everything went dark.
Yeah.
Then the guy under the B3 in there, where you can't see it, he goes, "Help! Help! I can't." Now B3 is a huge piece of wood too, and it's strong. So the building could have fell down. He was probably the only one that was safe because the B3. So. But he couldn't see. I mean, it was so pitch black.
You mean things fell on top of him?
He was no the Hammond organ. In fact, let's bring this out here.
Sure.
I'll show you
I know.
because it's kind of funny.
I want to see this.
Because he was getting it ready for Keith to play, and here we go. Here's the main studio. Kind of, you've been out here before. So the Hammond B3, he was underneath it down there, and in the back you could see all the stuff, and the power went out, and it was dark as night, and all I could do, help, I can't see anything, He didn't want to move, because if he moved, he could impale himself on mic stands, impale himself on the drum set here, the pianos over there.
Did everything fall down?
No, and because the building moved as one big piece, nothing happened. But like I said, because the B3 is so strong, it's such a heavy piece of wood.
Yes,
this is like,
it is. I
what
was
is
just
this
feeling
B3?
it.
300 pounds or something.
Oh yeah.
That, he was probably in the safest place for an earthquake.
Ever.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Yeah.
Well, we'll take you back in.
Come when I have an earthquake. I'll
Yes.
come here and go under the
And this is a Vox amp like the Beatles would use. This is from England. And
yeah, Vox.
you know, the old curl cord. This means it's like a museum in here. Yeah, well, those guys. And of course, from Paul McCartney concert that my sister took that picture. That's him looking right at her. You see those eyes looking right at her?
Oh,
Yeah. At least that's what she thought.
well, that's what I believe too.
No, these girls, I tell you, they're so easily fooled, aren't they?
When anybody looks your way for a second, okay, just a second.
Okay, I'm
You know,
putting this back here.
it's like personal. It's just a
I'm not sure I
personal
have
moment.
this
It's a
quite
moment.
right, but there you go.
All of us ladies know the moment.
Yeah, that's right. And, it's every corner. There's something like that around here.
There really is,
You
and
know.
I mean, up on the walls, the shelves, your room for all of your
Guitars, yeah.
bass and guitars.
Those are all videotapes there. I used to do music for Apple and National Semiconductor, all kinds for their video presentations before I moved to England and after I got paid more. Before I was still pretty good business.
Hey,
And those
but-
are all 3/4-inch videotapes. All behind that wall there are 2-inch tapes.
Oh
Like,
my
if people
goodness.
haven't seen, I always show the tape recorder, but I never show what the tape is because we used to be stuck with 24 channels, right?
Oh yes.
Now, on the 3 album, Keith needed 24 himself, so we put 2 machines together. But this is 2-inch tape. I mean, it's wide, and that's a roll of tape. And we used to record on this. Like I said, when we did the 3 album, we ran out of tracks between just sort of the guide keyboard track and the drums, which we used. Oh my God, I must use 14 tracks on the drums,
How
a
heavy?
couple for the bass.
Look at that.
Yeah, but that's,
You know, I forget how big everything had to be back then.
Yeah.
Everything, the bigger the better, right? Remember
Yeah.
that?
And then this is the new album. So it would take 8 of these. This can fit,
Let me
people know this.
see this.
They can fit 20 albums of recording on this, right? That's a hard drive.
Unbelievable. Is this an
Solid state.
extended, like an extended drive?
No, it's just, how many gig is it?
You get
2
terabytes on there?
terabytes?
Yeah, terabytes on there.
Yeah, I mean, so this is a solid state drive, no moving parts, right? Next to this was $160 for 1 roll. You needed 8 rolls for an album about.
Yep.
This is $160 for 20 albums.
That's what we used to have to manage, and that is
Yes.
not easy back in those days.
And you see how heavy it is?
That's what
Are
I
you
was
strong
gonna-
enough?
Oh, that must be what, 10 pounds?
Yeah, and we have to ship these around the country. I used to ship these, even for the Magna Carta things, to have Peter Banks do recording on the Yes Tribute for me and stuff. You'd ship a 2-inch tape. Crazy.
I say, put it on media.
Yeah, right.
Mail it USPS.
Yeah, I mean, every corner here is a piece of history. In a storage unit, my dad was a musician. My mom sang in my dad's band.
Yes.
I actually have a wire recorder that was his, which is cylinders with wires wrapped around it, where the thing would charge those wires with the magnetic sound. And of course, it sounds like that, but that's one of the very first recorders. What else is over there? I have a Steinway concert grand in there because it's
Yes.
too big for the studio, and
That
I'm just
grand
sitting there, beautiful, a priceless Steinway. And a pump organ from Mission San Jose. I mean, if I had more room, I rent out the front studio to another studio.
Right.
My son has a little studio in the back, so there's 3 studios in this building. I just ran out of room.
You know what? Expansion, I see coming
it's the
in the future.
second story.
Yeah,
Oh,
make it a 2-story, or
You know-
either that or just keep building.
The Neve console, I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
I've wanted that all my life. Look at, what's this say? We would do anything in California through something about Carl Palmer. It came and it went.
Oh, it came and went. Well, let's see if I can bring it back. Yes.
Well, Bruce is contacting you.
Yes, he is.
Bruce Pilato, great guy, manages Carl Palmer. Really
love
wonderful
Bruce.
guy.
Bruce will go out of his way for any fan of Carl's, and I mean out of his way.
He does a lot more than Carl too. He
he
stopped doing the
does.
Rochester Hall of Fame, but Rochester's why I ended my tour, because Magna Carta Records, where I did a lot for them, all the tributes, the Carnival 9 that is everybody likes so much, you know, it was Simon Phillips and Jordan Rudess. That was Magna Carta Records. They were located in Rochester. And Bruce ran the Hall of Fame, or was on the board, or, you know, it was a big deal anyway. I'm sorry, Bruce, if you're listening. He did some great things there.
I would be surprised. He is very busy man.
He's so busy with so many things, and Pat Travers, I think, is an artist. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Oh my gosh! I know that when I met Bruce for the first time, he was he's so dedicated, and he's right there next to Carl.
Yeah.
You know, when we're standing to get our autographs from Carl, and he is very, hey, boom, boom, next, because he wants to make sure that as many people of Carl's fans that can get up there and say hello. That means a lot to Bruce, and I could see that. And I'll tell you what, he works hard. I mean, he's physically running around.
Yeah.
And
well, he's working on that movie too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about that, but
I
I do
don't
know
either.
that because Carl's involved, that, you know, someone posted, "Oh, I can't believe they're doing that." And I said, you know what? Carl's involved. He's a great businessman. He's super intelligent. He's not just a great drummer. He will make sure that the Lake Estate, the Emerson Estate, everybody gets their money.
Yeah.
But he'll also make sure that it's a high level. It's Carl. He's just
Carl
like a dog on a
is
raw
a
piece of meat.
He's a sharp businessman.
He's good.
Very
He's
sharp
really
businessman, along with an amazing gift of talent. You know, I've watched. In fact, as I was watching,
I do hold one thing again, not to interrupt you, but you know our picture up there. He was the best looking one in the band. I've always hated that. It's always made me mad.
I don't know. I think if I were to meet these guys.
They airbrushed it, so.
I'm sorry.
We're all smoothed out.
I'm sorry. You know, you know my heart. You know where my heart is.
Well, of course, it's going to be Keith, but still, Carl's better looking. Sorry.
But you know, if Keith was busy,
you know, Dyanne,
I think I'd go to Robert.
I don't think I want to discuss with you which man is better looking. It doesn't feel right to me.
Well, let me make it clear. You are every bit as handsome as any one of the others two. I'm not kidding you. I actually like that hairstyle you have too, by the way. No,
I had more hair then. That's the thing.
My dad hated every boy I brought over
hair.
just for that.
Yeah.
Every guy I dated that was in a band. I mean,
Yeah.
and that was a style, and I actually really was attracted to that. By the way.
I don't think I've changed mine at all.
I
just have less hair.
No, but you've got you kept a great look.
I'm lucky.
Really
I still have enough hair. Not as
Yeah,
much
I
as
know,
I
right?
want, but the night before that photo was taken, it's very famous. Randy St. Nichols took that picture, photographer there. That Geffen threw a big party for us.
Yeah.
Really dumb thing to do before a photo shoot for the promo of the album.
Oh,
that's why that photo is airbrushed. Red eyes, you know.
Oh, you guys are all
Keith's especially airbrushed.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was real. I think back, oh my God.
Yeah, you know, why couldn't they reverse it?
They had
Let's do the photo shoot and then
that night, it
Right?
was really crazy. Yeah, it's just one of those oversights.
Hey, you know what though? It's an experience.
Yeah, and we learned a lot about airbrushing, you know.
I'll bet.
Do whatever we want. They can make us look fine. And there's no Photoshop then.
Hey, no, there was not.
No internet, no Photoshop. Cell phones were this big.
Yeah,
crazy.
right.
Just back in 1988.
Oh my gosh, remember the first cell phone? I remember I worked in a government company. Got myself a secret FBI
clearance.
Yeah.
Well, you needed. I should have made you show before you walked in here today.
Let me flash my badge.
That's right.
No, I don't obviously work there anymore, but it is just when you start seeing how you can edit photos.
Yeah.
When I discovered my editing tools, I went nuts.
Pretty
because
amazing.
I took all my old family pictures and I cleaned them up and turned them from yellow with spots
Yeah.
to pristine, and it's like a brand new picture.
That's nice. Huh?
So yeah, all the editing stuff is.
And you get on your phone now. They have apps that you just push a button, it goes, bzzz, and you. Oh, I look much better.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah.
That maybe I
Yeah.
can show that instead of my driver's license.
I tell Rebecca, I said, Rebecca, don't use that app. You're a pretty girl. Don't use that. You don't need that app.
No, she does
She
not.
does that. Get that off there, right?
No, she's a beautiful woman. Very beautiful
Second
woman.
grade teacher who's going to have all the second graders drink that glass of wine on the 11th. So no.
They'll have their little Dixie cups,
Little-
right? Just their little, remember those? Little
Oh,
Dixie
my
cups.
God.
And, maybe a little Kool-Aid or
Yeah.
little, what do they drink today?
White wine. You're 7 years old, Dyanne. Come
Oh,
on.
God, I should know
Jeez.
better.
Get with it.
I mean, come on. We're in, it's 2020, for
That's
heaven's
right.
sakes, right?
I think we are anyway.
Is that the year?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else is going on here. The
Yeah,
tour stuff is so important.
Yes.
The album's important.
Oh, I had a question
Yeah.
for you. I had a
I
question.
see somebody walking around out there. I don't mean to look away. Yes.
Yes. Do you need to check on something? Okay.
I keep my gun under the board. No, I don't. I don't have a gun. I don't
No,
believe
that's
in guns.
okay.
I don't
I got-
believe in guns, but a lot of times I think I should buy one. Anyway.
Mine's in, under the.
Yeah, you got it in the
like the women.
The shoe
The
gun.
women do. They're just right there.
Maxwell
In
Smart.
that little tiny, whatever they call them, derringers.
Derringer,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh gollies, that's something. But what we're just.
You were going to ask me a question. I made you forget it now.
I know. I was going to ask you a question. I know it was. I was going to ask you about are you just doing the one tour in the U.S. for the whole
One
year?
concert. Yes, and
Oh, I'm
You know-
disappointed. I'm sorry.
I
but I'm
am too. I
disappointed.
was thinking that why don't I book 3, Northern California here and then Southern California at Elvis,
Oh,
'Cause
yes.
Those people, I really like those people there. And I'm in the middle of this album, the Sweetwater Pavilions in May. Come back, Andrew's in New York and he's
Yeah.
a doctor too, and he's trying to,
Didn't know that.
yeah, he's a chiropractor acupuncture doctor.
Shut
Oh,
up.
he's a smart guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, when I first met him, I was just in awe. It was just watching him practice when I came to watch that first show. I was watching him set up and checking everything, and he is so. He knows exactly what he needs.
Meticulous.
Very
Yeah,
meticulous, and very, very quiet in his demeanor.
He's scared. That's why he's quiet.
No, are you terrified, Andrew? Come
No,
on.
he is really
He is an
ultimate
awesome
professional in every part of his life, but especially as a keyboard player, because that's his love, that's his passion.
guy, and you can see that. I saw it, and the first time, I remember the first time you guys started to play Carnival Night, and Andrew starts that.
And that was our 4th gig too, so
Oh.
it got better. But he was
It got
he was
better.
good. Well, it's a hard
I
piece of
got
music,
to say, it was pretty
Yeah.
doggone good then when I saw it, because he made me cry. Because there's some magical thing that happens when we go to one of your performances, because the way the changes, the subtle changes that you make
Right.
here and there, especially in Carnival Night, that is just so tricky, because you just have so many there's just too many changes. I mean, something's always happening, and it's like, am I here? I need to be, you know, and the rhythm kind of changes.
Yeah.
And you had put such a wonderful, you know, overlay of your impression, what you would like to do with that song.
Well, you know, I do that because those are the songs that Hush used to play. So I know intimately the real version. And then I wound up playing with Keith and Carl. So I know intimately how they work, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the kind of people they are, how they work. And then I have this thing that I say, you know, if that was to be done now, 20 years later, or 50 years later, ELP's 50 years this year, right? I mean, what would I do to it if I was in the band now and retain the beauty of what it was, because that's still the writing that Keith did and Greg and Carl.
Sure.
And so you mix it all up, and it becomes what it is.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe, I think anyway, that people are not offended by, you know, my sort of tribute versions of the songs. They're maybe heavier, they're different, but they're not to that core heart and soul, the way they were written and the feel of them. There's just a little bit of give and take there, but
Yeah.
you know, I think it still connects. Of course, you get Simon Phillips to do the drums. Oh my God, you know, he's amazing. And Jordan Rudess is just,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you get better than that these days? You know, then you have to find a guy that can play that on stage.
Yeah.
That's when they bring it back to Andrew Collier again, you know?
There you go.
And
That's
a
your
creative
audition.
guy too, yeah.
That's your audition right there.
Yeah,
You
but
go
play
ahead.
Carnival Night.
Yeah. Yeah, play Carnival 9. Let's see how well you do.
Yeah.
And here's the album I want you to, you know, mimic or
It's
something.
funny. I had a lot of people contact me about being a keyboard player for the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even people saying, well, you ought to call Jeff Downs. You guys should be working together. I can't ask Jeff Downs to do what I've played, what Jordan Rudess has played, what Keith has played. Jeff Downs is Jeff Downs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I couldn't ask some of the other keyboard players that were really great, that were names that were known, to do my thing, my way. Because my way wasn't really completely my way. A lot of my thing was done with Keith and Carl. And the keyboards had to be done Keith's way. We do Desi La Vida. I want it done the way Keith did it, right? I was part of that.
Right.
So it was a tricky balance. And Andrew, believe it or not, we've talked about this, I believe, was raised with my wife Rebecca in Missouri, her brother's best friend. Now, that has nothing to do with him being a great keyboard player, but he came to December People show in New York, and he said, how do, you know, I've left this behind to become a doctor. How do I get back in the business? I thought, oh, here's this guy.
Oh,
These
boy,
guys.
here we go.
I mean, great. I mean, if you love it, great. You know, a lot of disappointments in music, but you just do you sing, you play, you write, you got to do it all.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that he was going to do it all, right? 'Cause
Literally.
he's capable, and he kept sending me these albums with Circuline that he'd done. Wow. Said,
Got a big box for you.
uh-oh.
Now we have FedEx. He just
Delivery.
walks in with a very big
Oh, that
package.
looks like my coffin. Let me sign this. Anyway, he sends me these albums, and he's so good. I'm going, wow, this I think's the guy. So
Yes.
it sort of was in my world, you know.
Yes. Andrew is the guy that when you meet him in person, he is so open, and he reminds me of how people were when you went to a concert in the 70s. And when they started to play Carnival 9, and you hear that opening with Andrew, and I closed my eyes, and I felt like I was right back in a concert with the LP.
Yeah.
And I could hear comments or, oh, you know, just reactions.
Yeah.
And people were talking amongst each other just like we did in 1970. And I felt like, you know, you want to go back in time? A time machine's there. And it's in bands like Robert Berry.
It's music is the time machine. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You're right.
And
Yeah.
it's Facebook and it's YouTube that's keeping our music alive and well. And
Facebook is getting just like MTV, though.
Yeah.
MTV doesn't play videos anymore. It's not about music.
There-
Facebook is all these mean political poses. I
know,
hide
I know,
everybody.
right?
Hide. I don't care what side they believe on. If they're talking about it, hide. Gone.
Please. I know. Yeah, there are
you're
two
right.
things that I do not talk about.
Yeah.
Politics and religion. It's just
Yeah.
that simple. And it's
Yeah,
something
if
we
just
learned a long
get the
time
Pope
ago.
as president, maybe we'd be okay. You know?
Oh, you never know. I still say, bring in a woman.
I love that Two Popes movie, by the way. They're just joking about this, but you know, to see how this one pope was all stiff and everything, and this new guy came in, and the old stiff pope didn't like him, but then he makes him the pope, basically. Anyway, I don't know why I'm getting off on that. We're going to have to stop soon.
Yes, we are.
I mean, my clock isn't quite right, but
Yes, I know. We're all on the new time now. We all jumped forward to spring.
only because I have
spring
a
forward.
yeah, only because I have a session. It just
Oh my gosh,
Just
it's wonderful.
Gary Peel called me. I got a thing from Germany here.
Well, you know, maybe we should start wrapping things up.
Gary Peel, great friend of mine, guitar player from Boston.
Oh, Boston. I love Boston.
Gary's done more for my life in so many ways, you know.
Yeah.
A quick story about Gary that, you know, we had Alliance, of course, done a few albums. And back in 2001, my dad died. And my dad is a musician, had a music store, had a boy and a girl kid, loved cars, loved property. I'm my dad. I love all those things, even though I always say it's my mom who made me who I was, who I am. She really was the one that made
was
me.
the
you know.
one.
She was a singer, right? And
I'm telling you, singers just love somebody that'll pick up
Yeah.
an instrument.
you know,
You know.
whatever I was into and stuff, she's right there. She never pushed me into it. She's right there supporting me.
Wonderful.
But my dad, when he died, really, I never needed that help because I was always made my own way.
Mm-hmm.
But I was raised in such a great family. I knew I could take chances, and if I failed, my mom and dad, especially my dad, would be there. He could don't worry about it. You do what you love. You go for it, right?
Very
And
supportive.
He was just one day just gone, died of a stroke.
Oh.
And 2 years later, when I'm still, the only time I was happy is when I was in the middle of a session with music because it took my mind off that into music with
Yeah.
clients.
Yeah.
Gary calls. Gary knows there's something wrong. It doesn't like me to be like that. Can't get a new Alliance album done. I can't write something. I'm not being creative, but I can work on client stuff, so I'm working all the time. He said, Tom Scholes, leader of Boston, right? He likes your drumming. We need a drummer. Why don't you come out here and audition? I said, I don't play drums in a band. You know, I do them in the studio. Well, he's heard your demos. He thinks you'd be good to consider. So let me think about it. My son, now Mr. 25-year-old, is about 6 and has a little kid's drum set. So I go in there and I go, well, these Boston songs aren't that hard to play on drums. And Gary calls again, hey, I got your ticket. You're coming out.
Oh, wow.
So I went audition for Boston. Then I knew I shouldn't have that gig. I'm not a stage drummer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm capable of playing. As you can hear in the rules have changed.
Yes.
I play a lot of
Yes.
drums. But you got to lead a band on the stage. You have to be solid and rock. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's not my life experience. And, but after...
You have more comfort in your guitar.
Well, the
and your
guitar and
bass.
especially bass. Yeah, I like being
Yeah,
down bass.
yeah, you like that bass.
But I do that and I come home and Gary had pulled me out of my funk by doing that, got me out of the studio, got me on the road, playing, and Tom Scholes is wonderful, so nice to me. In fact, I got a couple cymbals here that were his that he used in albums and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
It just sort of got me going, yeah, this is what I do, this is what I meant to do, and I need to, my dad
This
wanted me to
is
do this.
what- yes.
It took 2 years, you know, and Gary's the one that flicked that switch. You know, you gotta kick this guy.
Yeah. You know, I was raised by my dad, and my brother that was it. So it was just the three of us. So I had to compete with 2 boys. And my dad was a very good baseball player and was offered to play for the Giants and for Boston, and also the Dodgers. This was 1950, I believe, about 2 years before the Giants went from New York to San Francisco.
Okay.
That's when he was offered, and I actually have in his scrapbook the
A letter?
offer letter.
Oh,
it's
how
just
cool.
like,
That's
wow.
cool.
And he was such a diehard Giants fan, and he could do fielding, but he was a first and second baseman because they called him Stretch for a reason. He could just
Out there.
and
Wow.
because of that, he started taking us to Giants games when I was about 8 or 9. And it's interesting when you talk about your father. And my father passed in 2010 from lung cancer. And, I was very close to him in my own way.
sure, I bet,
although I
yeah.
think my dad and my brother were, my dad, I think, wanted him to be a baseball player and really worked with him a lot.
Yeah.
So I had to compete for that attention.
Yeah.
But every time I went to a Giants game, which wasn't often, I used to feel so good. I almost felt like he was right there.
Yeah.
Right there, because I was in his world.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you get into your dad's world.
Yeah.
And it's a good feeling. It feels so good. It's like being reconnected for that time.
Sure. That's the part of that time machine we're talking about.
Yes, it is.
Right?
And speaking of time machines, I think we probably have to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Because,
I have a
could
session coming in.
You have a session coming in, and I could, obviously be here all day.
Well, you have a train to catch too, don't you?
Well, yeah, but that's not tomorrow morning. So, anyway, no, I know. But I want to really thank you on behalf of the Emerson, Lake and Palmer Titans of Prague. We all, as a group, want to say thank you for your music. Thank you for keeping it alive. Thank you for expressing your new music. And boy, we want to see you in the U.S. because we can't see enough of you.
Well, I
And
appreciate that.
your all of your bandmates, everybody are not only just great guys to talk with, their talent is just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And it's just an incredible experience. If you ever get the time, if he's coming towards you, do not miss him. Get whatever you have on your calendar, move that time over,
There you go.
and get Robert Berry put into that slot because you will never be disappointed. I still have that memory.
That's very sweet. We got to get people out to Fort Wayne, Indiana for that show. That's going to be a lot of fun. But of course,
Hear that?
not from the West Coast because that's a long way.
I
But
know, it's okay. We got people all over the world.
I heard today on a Facebook post, some guy's a 10-hour drive from Buffalo, New York, to Fort Wayne. He's coming to the show, and those type of things. Last year's tour was so cool for me to have people come out, bring Hush CDs from 1982, 1879, whatever, and to see people come out because the music made a difference in their life, that sort of changed my life. It really did.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so
because that's got to be something today to see those first records.
Yeah.
And these people still have them. And
Yeah,
they have
it's
them for a very
amazing.
good reason.
And now next
It's your
year,
talent.
we'll come back, do the U.S. Thing, and then actually.
Promise?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. If it wasn't for recording the album, we'd do more this year. I just can't wrap my head around all
I
that.
know.
Plus, I have huge management problems from last year that I'm trying to deal with.
Yes,
so
yes. I hope that's getting easier.
I don't want to talk about it because I don't want anybody suing me for slander. But I have now I have an attorney. Luckily, I have an attorney in the family, and the new manager is an attorney. So I'm going to give it a couple of weeks, and then I have to make a move. It's just the way things went. I don't know why.
You
but,
know what? Stuff happens.
Yeah.
And when it does, you either stop and you become stagnated, or you push through.
Yeah.
And you can always use my daughter. She's a paralegal, and
Well,
she's an executive assistant to.
I can't think about it for the next 2 weeks. I'll be done recording the new album in 2 weeks. And
I'm so excited to hear it.
I can't have that on my shoulder. Just me saying that. I think I want you to know there's other things going on.
Oh, I know.
But it puts this little gray cloud. I don't live in the gray cloud area. I live in Happysville, right?
I know.
And,
I know, right?
So after 2 weeks, then I have to get on this X management thing and make that happen. But that's I'm gonna be in denial until then. What I have to do.
Absolutely. I totally understand that.
Have to.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to close because I could just keep going and going and going.
I blab. I'm sorry.
No, I blab. I think I blab more than you.
I don't think so.
I do.
We'll have a vote. That'll be the contest. Let's vote.
Okay. You know what? That's a good idea. I have a funny feeling, though, that I'm going to...
You think you're going to win? Oh, there was a vote. I saw it float up there.
Oh, no. I hope it wasn't me. I bet it was. That's okay. You know what? I love everybody. I love everybody, and I love all the groups. And Robert, you know I love you guys in the band, and we are very appreciative that you were able to take some time from your busy schedule to sit down and talk to us.
I appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.
I appreciate what you do. You know, I'll do anything for the ELP guys, the groups, just for the immense dedication and quality of what they did.
Yes.
And I'm so proud to have been a little piece of it. And that people are accepting me now as a little piece of that instead of like, oh, look at that wrong turn that Keith and Carl made. Now they're seeing that in that time there was those turns were being made, and we came up with Desi La Vida. So there you go.
There you go. And on that,
all right,
Robert, we're going to say bye-bye.
Is it Hasta La Vista?
Is it Hasta La Vista?
What is it?
I don't know. Hasta La Vista.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Have a great day.
Complete and whole. Somebody's watching the rules that may break, the key to the balance, the give and take, the shadows of light that may look dim. I've traveled this road without being